whispers of the water, a new dawn. The transformation was nothing short of miraculous. As the moon cast its silvery light over the Hudson River, Amana felt the ancient magic course through her veins, reshaping her very being. Her tail, a shimmering cascade of scales, morphed gradually into 2 slender legs, her skin adopting the soft warmth of human flesh. It was a sight to behold, for Destiny, who had seen nothing quite like this. Amana stood cautiously, her new legs wobbly and uncertain beneath her. The sensation was overwhelming. Each nerve seemed to buzz with life, each movement a discovery. Destiny reached out, offering her arm for support. "Take it slow," she advised, her voice low and soothing. "It's a lot to take in." "Indeed it is," Amana replied, her voice tinged with a mix of wonder and trepidation. "It feels so different, powerful, yet delicate." She took a tentative step forward, her gaze fixed on the ground as if she might fall through it at any moment. As they made their way through the deserted riverbank towards the museum, Amana's confidence grew, but so did her sense of urgency. "We must hurry," she insisted, her voice gaining strength. "This form is temporary, and we have little time before I must return to the water." Destiny nodded, understanding the stakes. The cool night air brushed against their faces as they walked, the city's distant hum, a constant reminder of the world Amana was about to confront, a world she had observed from afar but never touched. The museum loomed ahead, its grand structure a shadow against the night sky. Amana halted, a wave of fear surging through her veins as her dread of confinement, the fear of being trapped and enclosed, reared its head once more. Destiny watched with concern as Amana took deep, steadying breaths, reminding herself that she was safe, on legs now, and free to move about within the confines of the concrete structure. Destiny led Amana through a side entrance she knew would be unlocked. They navigated the dimly lit hallways, the echoes of their steps a stark contrast to the usual daytime bustle of tourists and school groups. Finally, they reached the large, ornate door leading to the pool house where Mark was kept. Destiny paused, placing her hand on the doorknob. "Are you ready?" she asked, turning to Amana with a look of concern. Amana took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Yes, for Mark I must be." Destiny gazed at Amana, her mind drifting back to the sacrifice that had unfolded earlier. She thought of the 100 mermaids who had willingly offered a fragment of their essence, accepting a shortened lifespan to ensure Mark's safety. This selfless act stirred a deep curiosity within her. As she watched Amana's serene expression, touched by both sorrow and resolve, Destiny pondered the enigma that was Mark. What was it about him that compelled such a monumental sacrifice? What made him so vital, so cherished that others would willingly diminish their own time in the world to secure his future? With a determined nod, Destiny pushed the door open, and they stepped into the humid air of the pool house. The sound of water lapping gently at the edges of the pool filled the room, and there, in the dim light reflecting off the water, was Mark. He hadn't noticed their entrance, his attention fixed on the subtle movements of the water. But as Amana's foot slipped and she stumbled with a splash into the pool, his head whipped around, his expression transforming from one of concentration to shock and then to joy. "Amana!" he exclaimed, rushing to her side in the water. His hands were gentle as they steadied her, his eyes wide with disbelief and relief. "You're walking!" "Trying to at least," Amana replied with a laugh, the sound bubbling up from her throat more freely than she expected. "And now I'm drowning," she coughed, realizing that her new form was not suited for water. Her arms wrapped around him in a clumsy but heartfelt embrace. Mark's laugh mingled with hers, the sound echoing off the stone walls. "I won't let you drown, not here, not anywhere," he promised, his voice filled with warmth. Mark held Amana close, their faces inches apart, the warmth and love between them immense. He paused, the words he needed to say catching in his throat. Finally, with a deep breath, he confessed, his voice laced with unease. My father told me that you and the mermaids are sirens controlling my thoughts. Lies, Amana responded instantly, her voice both gentle and firm, as she sought to ease the worry etched on his face. She was about to say more, but the moment was abruptly interrupted as Destiny's sharp intake of breath sliced through the air. She stood frozen, her eyes locked on the doorway through which they had just entered. Someone's coming, she whispered urgently. Amana's gentle air vanished, giving way to a determined expression as she pulled away from Mark's embrace. With his help, she climbed out of the pool and stood on the edge, her newly formed legs solid and prepared as she faced the entrance. The door creaked open slowly, revealing the imposing figure of Tadros. His eyes, wide with shock, scanned the scene before him, first landing on Destiny, then Mark, and finally resting on Amana. It can't be. Tadros's voice was a mix of disbelief and something darker, an undercurrent of fear, as he stepped into the room, his gaze locked on her. Amana. As the cool air of the pool house enveloped them, Amana stood firm and resolute on her newly formed legs, facing Tadros, with an intensity that matched the depth of the ocean from which she came. Tadros, Amana began, her voice echoing through the spacious room, grounding her presence. At once we meet on equal footing. Yet, you have taken Mark from me, from the mermaids, breaking the sacred promise that bound us. Now, the consequence you face is not just the loss of your earthly wealth, which was built on deception, but also the loss of honor among your own kind. Tadros, caught off guard by Amana's transformation and her confronting words, struggled to mask his turmoil. Amana, to see you like this, on legs. It's what I've longed for, he confessed, his voice tinged with a desperate nostalgia. I have loved you since our days beneath the waves, and I thought, your love, Amana cut him off sharply, was never returned. My interest was in your potential, in the legacy you could offer through Mark. You mistook my intentions for affection. She stepped closer, her gaze unwavering. Your misuse of the Siren's loom which you stole has endangered our people, stealing their essence and bringing us to near extinction. This treachery will not go unanswered. Attempting to regain his composure, Tadros countered. You stand before me transformed, Amana. Are you not indulging in the same betrayal? You, who also love the land. The sea is my heart, Tadros, Amana retorted, her voice steady and clear. This transformation was consensual and temporary, meant to right the wrongs you've inflicted. Unlike your actions, which were born from selfishness and deception, causing death of thousands. The mermaids who helped me will live. Shorter lives, but long enough to see you fall, and see the return of our people's hope. I will live to see it, Tadros. At this juncture, Mark, overwhelmed by the revelations, interjected for clarity. What's this all about? Father, you were a merman, and you're in love with Amana? Yes, Mark, I was a merman, Tadros admitted, his voice heavy. I left the sea for a life on land, thinking it would be better for me. And Amana. He stopped, unable to finish. Mark, struggling with the newfound knowledge of his father's desire for Amana and his heritage, murmured, But that would mean that's why you wanted to capture Amana? And I'm part mermaid? It's of no consequence now, Tadros hastily added, trying to dismiss the significance. Amana addressed Tadros sternly. It is of every consequence. You promised Mark in exchange for wealth to live your life on land. Now you tell him that we control his mind to do things against his will. How could you twist your lies so, even to your own son? You stole the Siren's loom, took the life of mermaids to live as man on land, then returned to us once you realized the true hardships to be found on Earth and what comfortably existing there would require. Mark, piecing together the gravity of his father's deeds, whispered in shock. But you said it was for my mother, for my grandmother. I will not let you take him, Tadros suddenly declared, his resolve hardening. I've changed my mind. The wealth I keep, my son stays with me. Amana's response was fierce and resolute. Balance must be restored. Mermaid lives were lost because of you. Mark alone can restore this balance. Despite being part of you, he is the key to replenish our race. His gene is the strongest there is. He is the light where you chose darkness. Yes, you are part mermaid, Mark, Amana confirmed, her voice steady yet filled with an emotional undercurrent. This is how you transformed so easily when you first submerged beneath the sea with me. The sea calls to you, resonating with your very soul. Mark's eyes widened with astonishment, his mind racing to connect the fragments of his past. It was you, Mark, who came to Kenya, not your father who brought you. It was you who returned to the pool and found me, she said. Your arrival reactivated the dormant magic of the pool, a place we entrusted to Tadros long before he abandoned his aquatic heritage for land. With you by my side, our love will birth a new era for our people. Together, we will restore what was lost. Tadros, his face contorting with a mix of rage and desperation, interrupted sharply. Enough of this. His voice boomed through the pool house. I might have failed to capture you before, Amana, but now you've delivered yourself to me. He lunged towards Amana with a swift, predatory movement. But before his hands could grasp her, he was forcefully pushed back. Stumbling a few steps, his eyes searched wildly for his assailant. They landed on Destiny, standing small yet resolute, her expression a blend of determination and fear. I don't know what came over me, Destiny stammered, stepping back to stand protectively beside Amana. What do you think you're doing? Do you know who I am? Tadros growled, his pride wounded by the defiance of a mere human girl. He had initially noticed a third person in the room, but Amana's presence had completely eclipsed her from his mind until this moment. Amana's smile was cold and knowing. The real question, Tadros, is whether you know who she is. Destiny isn't just her name. She embodies your destiny, your judgment for crimes so grievous that they have taken solid form. As Tadros absorbed the gravity of Amana's words, the air around them seemed to thicken. Destiny, still processing the surreal nature of the events, looked down at her hands when Amana gestured. There, shimmering with a light of its own, lay the Siren's loom. By merely touching you, Destiny has stripped you of the artifact, Amana explained, her voice filled with a mixture of wrath and triumph. As its guardian, I claim back what was wrongfully taken. The Siren's loom was embedded within you, Tadros, fueling your stolen life on land. Now, it returns to its rightful keeper. Tadros staggered, the impact of his loss dawning on him. His vision blurred, the memories of thousands of mermaids from whom he had stolen essence flashing before his eyes, each face a haunting reminder of his betrayal. As he grappled with the visions, the reality of his destiny embodied in Destiny, his ultimate judge and jury, settled around him like a shroud. With the Siren's loom gone, his connection to his ill-gotten form weakened, his time on land now numbered. Destiny stood with the Siren's loom clutched in her hands, her eyes wide with wonder and confusion. The artifact, now pulsing with a soft, oceanic glow, resembled a delicate conch shell intertwined with strands of seaweed and coral, embedded with shimmering stones that seemed to hold the very essence of the sea itself. Destiny, still gawking at the luminescent artifact, slowly met Amana's gaze. I don't understand all of this. How could I, just a girl from the shore, hold such power." Amana smiled warmly. "Within you lies a power unimaginable, Destiny. Retrieving the Siren's loom from Tadros was no mere chance. The vitality you received during my transformation, it augmented what was already within you. Also, you did not find Mark by chance. None of us are here by mere coincidence. You are more important than you realize," Amana continued, her voice firm. "Your actions have sealed Tadros' fate. You are his destiny, and this is justice." In the pool beside them, Mark wrestled with a mix of relief and concern. "Will he be okay?" he asked, nodding towards his father, who sat quietly, absorbing the weight of his actions. "Your father will live out his days on land like any land dweller," Amana assured him. "His wealth will fade, but he will not suffer. He is not evil, merely misguided." Turning to his father, Mark asked with a hopeful, yet pained expression, "Tell me it isn't true, all of it." Tadros, feeling the profound shift within himself, replied more honestly than he had in years. "I did those things, Mark, and I am sorry for it. I was wrong. My desire to live on land, it went too far. I never intended to harm our people." Mark, coming to terms with the truth and his father's admission, nodded slowly. "I know now what I must do. The light within me, it calls to be shared, to guide our people back from the brink. I will be with Amana, always, to ensure our survival." As dawn approached, Amana grew anxious about their need to return to the sea. "The sun will rise soon, and we must be in the water before it climbs too high," she said, looking towards the horizon. Destiny, concerned about the logistics, voiced her worry. "But how will we move Mark and you to the sea unnoticed during daylight?" Confronted with his failures and the gentle yet firm touch of destiny that still swirled inside him, Tadros made his decision and relinquished control over the Siren's loom, over Mark, and any claims against Amana. Tadros, now eager to assist in any way, offered a solution. "I have a truck, and we can place an inflatable pool inside it. I will have a trusted driver take you." Grateful for his help, Mark, Amana, and Destiny prepared to depart. Together, they went into the truck and left the confines of the pool house, the first rays of the sun casting long shadows behind them as they headed towards a new dawn, their hearts full of resolutions and the promise of renewal. The mood inside the truck was a blend of excitement and solemnity. Amana, transformed and temporarily graced with legs, sat close to Mark, her eyes wide as they passed landmarks and towering buildings, sights she had only ever imagined in the stories told among her people. Mark pointed out various attractions with a warm smile. "That's the Empire State Building. It's one of the tallest in the world, you know." Amana's face lit up with wonder, her gaze following every light and moving shadow, absorbing the sights of a world so different from her underwater realm. As they neared more crowded areas, Mark's voice faltered slightly as he noticed more heads turning toward Amana. Her beauty, undeniable as the ocean was deep, drew many admiring glances. He murmured somewhat uncomfortably, "I don't think I like this very much." Amana chuckled, a sound like the gentle chime of sea glass being stirred by the tide. "They can look, Mark, and they will. They must. Having legs hasn't lost me my allure." Her words were light, teasing, but her eyes held a depth of sincerity. "But regardless of how much they stare, you know where my heart belongs, Mark," she added, her hand finding his. "Of course I do," he replied, though the slight edge of jealousy still tinged his words. Needing reassurance, he asked, "Where?" Her laughter rang out, clear and melodious, easing the tightness in his chest. "My heart lies with you, Mark." As the truck rumbled towards the riverside, the mood inside was a blend of relief and quiet reflection. Destiny sat opposite Amana, who looked at her with deep appreciation. "Destiny," Amana began, her voice carrying the weight of gratitude. "Thank you. You've made the retrieval of Mark and the artifact possible, and have honored my claim. Mark remains with me because of your courage." "You say that as if I have the power to change anything," Destiny replied, her tone modest. Amana simply smiled, a knowing glint in her eye. Mark, who had been listening intently, turned to Destiny. "What you did back there, I can't thank you enough. You saved my father and helped us all. I'm still in shock at how everything turned out." The truck eased to a stop, its rear just a stone's throw from the water's edge. Mark and Amana prepared to re-enter their aquatic home. As they stepped into the cool river, Destiny watched from the bank, her heart full of mixed emotions. Just as they submerged, a brilliant light flashed beneath the surface, signaling Amana's transformation back into her mermaid form. Moments later, Amana leapt from the water, her majestic tail gleaming in the sunlight, and dove back in, leaving a trail of sparkling droplets. Destiny gasped in awe at the incredible sight. Waving warmly at Destiny, Mark and Amana shimmered off into the distance, their silhouettes fading like a beautiful dream. Destiny stood there, a sense of closure and wonder washing over her. Years later, Destiny's peaceful life was interrupted by a mysterious knock at her door. A letter invited her to return to the very spot where she had bid farewell to her friends. At 120 years old, yet appearing no older than 40 thanks to the enduring magic of the spell cast long ago, she rushed to the riverside with youthful vigor, heart pounding with anticipation. Standing by the water, she waited, the old excitement tingling through her veins. Just as doubt began to cloud her mind, a playful splash redirected her attention to the river. It wasn't Mark or Amana emerging, but a small, wet face with big azure eyes that seemed to peer into her soul. "Destiny?" the tiny voice asked. The resemblance was unmistakable. "Oh my gosh, you're Amana's!" Destiny exclaimed as laughter bubbled up from within her. "And Mark's too. I see it in your nose." More splashes followed, and soon Destiny was surrounded by young mermaids. She began counting out loud, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, she said with finality. 9, came the otherworldly voice, rich with joy and familiarity. Recognizing it immediately, Destiny spun around to see Amana, looking as radiant as ever, holding twin mermaid babies in her arms. Tears sprang to Destiny's eyes as Amana's smile widened in pride. Destiny's delighted scream startled the babies, who opened their big brown eyes, so much like Mark's. Just then, Mark surfaced, his voice a gentle whisper. "Shh, please don't scream. It took forever to get them to sleep." Their laughter mingled, echoing over the water. "This is incredible, they're all yours." Destiny managed through her laughter. "Yes," Mark teased. "Can't you see the resemblance?" Amana introduced their children. Serena, Leah, Marin, Oceana, Nerida, Kai, Pelagia, Lirael, and the brave little one who had first greeted Destiny, Coralie. As the young mermaids curiously inspected Destiny's jeans and legs, she was overwhelmed by the sight of the family Amana and Mark had created, while they both remained timeless, untouched by the years. As Destiny stood surrounded by the curious young mermaids, her heart swelled with joy and anticipation. Each moment felt like a glimpse into a miraculous new chapter. Nearby, Mark and Amana looked on with deep satisfaction. Their lives had changed dramatically, from being filled with secrets to creating a bridge between the sea and land. Seeing their children laugh and play with Destiny reminded them of how much they had achieved together. The sound of the river and children's laughter blended into a beautiful melody that spoke of love and new beginnings. Holding hands, Mark and Amana felt grateful for the journey they had shared and hopeful for the future they had helped shape for their children. The end.